Have you ever noticed something strange? You finally finish work. You sit down on the couch. The room is quiet. Your phone isn't ringing. Nobody is asking anything from you. Nothing is actually wrong. And yet, your shoulders are still tense. Your breathing is shallow. Your jaw is clenched. Your mind keeps searching for something to worry about, almost as if peace itself feels suspicious. You tell yourself, I should relax. But your body refuses. Why? The obvious answer is stress. But that explanation doesn't go deep enough, because stress usually comes from something: a deadline, a conflict, an emergency. But what if the emergency is already over? Why does your nervous system keep behaving as though danger is still nearby? The answer begins with a surprising realization. Your brain doesn't care about comfort. It cares about prediction. Every second of every day, your brain is trying to answer one question: what happens next? Not because it enjoys guessing, because prediction is how living creatures survive. Long before humans built cities, long before language, long before civilization, our ancestors lived in environments where one mistake could mean death. A rustle in the bushes might be the wind, or it might be a predator. Waiting to collect more evidence could be fatal. So evolution built a brain that always preferred false alarms over missed danger. If the brain guessed wrong and assumed there was a lion, you wasted a little energy. If it guessed wrong in the opposite direction, you became lunch. Over hundreds of thousands of years, natural selection rewarded nervous systems that stayed alert, not nervous systems that stayed relaxed. This ancient strategy worked remarkably well. The problem is, your brain is still running almost exactly the same operating system. Only the predators have changed. Today, most people aren't being chased by lions. They're being chased by uncertainty. An unread email, an unexpected phone call, a difficult conversation, financial pressure, social rejection, a medical test result, a future nobody can predict. To your conscious mind, these are completely different situations. But to your nervous system, uncertainty and danger often feel almost identical. That's because your brain isn't responding to reality alone. It's responding to possibility. Even when nothing bad is happening, something bad could happen. And for an ancient survival machine, could is often enough. This explains something many people find deeply confusing. You don't need a real threat to activate your stress response. You only need uncertainty. That's why some people feel most anxious, not during chaos, but after everything becomes quiet. Silence gives the prediction machine room to work. And once it starts searching, it almost always finds something. A memory, a future mistake, an imagined conversation, a health symptom, a financial disaster. Your brain begins filling empty space with possible dangers, not because it's trying to make you miserable, because it's trying to keep you alive. Ironically, the safer your environment becomes, the more attention your brain can devote to hypothetical threats. This is why peace sometimes feels uncomfortable. Not because peace is dangerous, but because your prediction system has nothing immediate to solve. So it invents something. And this is where one of the most misunderstood features of the human brain begins to reveal itself. If your brain keeps searching for danger, what exactly is it looking for? To answer that, we need to understand a system neuroscientists sometimes describe as predictive processing. Most people imagine the brain as a camera. The world happens first, then the brain reacts. But that's not actually how perception works. Your brain is less like a camera and more like a prediction engine. Before your eyes fully process what you're seeing, before your ears finish decoding a sound, your brain is already making an educated guess about what is probably happening. It builds an internal model of reality, then constantly compares that model against incoming information. Most of the time, this system is astonishingly accurate. It's what allows you to catch a ball, finish someone's sentence, drive a familiar route without consciously thinking about every turn. Prediction makes life efficient, but prediction also comes with a hidden cost, because the brain dislikes uncertainty. An uncertain world is difficult to control. A predictable world feels safer. So whenever information is incomplete, the brain fills in the missing pieces, sometimes correctly, sometimes catastrophically. Imagine hearing a loud noise upstairs in the middle of the night. You don't immediately know what caused it. Objectively, there are dozens of possibilities. The house settling, a pet moving, something falling off a shelf, the wind. But notice what often appears first. What if someone broke in? That thought didn't arrive because it's the most likely explanation. It arrived because it's the most dangerous one. Your survival system doesn't rank possibilities by probability. It ranks them by potential cost. Missing a burglar would be far more expensive than briefly worrying about one who isn't there. This is known as the better safe than sorry strategy, and evolution has been using it for millions of years. The same pattern appears everywhere in modern life. Your boss says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" Immediately. Your mind doesn't imagine getting a compliment. It imagines losing your job. Your partner becomes unusually quiet. Instead of assuming they're tired, your brain starts constructing stories about arguments, rejection, or betrayal. You feel a slight sensation in your chest. Instead of thinking, "Maybe I slept awkwardly," your brain quietly whispers, "What if it's something serious?" Notice something important. Nothing has actually happened yet. Only uncertainty exists, but uncertainty creates an empty space. And the brain hates empty spaces, so it fills them with predictions, usually negative ones. Psychologists call this negativity bias. Negative information captures attention faster than positive information because, throughout human history, ignoring bad news was much more dangerous than overlooking good news. A compliment can wait. A predator cannot. Even today, your nervous system still follows those ancient priorities. This creates a strange paradox. The better your life becomes, the more subtle the threats become. You stop worrying about survival. You start worrying about reputation, success, relationships, health, meaning. The brain simply upgrades the category of danger. The prediction machine never truly turns off. It only changes what it predicts. This is why many people finally achieve everything they thought would bring peace: a stable career, financial security, a loving relationship, a comfortable home, only to discover that anxiety quietly follows them inside. Because anxiety was never attached to the circumstances alone. It was attached to the brain's habit of constantly scanning for what might go wrong next. And here's where things become even more interesting. The nervous system doesn't only respond to real experiences, it also responds to vividly imagined ones. Imagine standing on the edge of a very tall building. Even if you're perfectly safe behind a glass barrier, your heart rate often increases. Your muscles tighten. Your palms begin to sweat. Nothing dangerous is happening, but your body reacts anyway. Why? Because the brain struggles to completely separate imagination from immediate reality. Every vivid simulation becomes a kind of rehearsal. The more often you rehearse disaster, the more familiar disaster begins to feel. And what feels familiar often feels more likely. Without realizing it, you begin training your nervous system to stay prepared for emergencies that never arrive. Eventually, being tense starts feeling normal, and relaxation starts feeling unfamiliar. For some people, unfamiliar itself begins to feel unsafe. That's why lying quietly in bed, doing absolutely nothing, can sometimes feel harder than working all day. Not because rest is uncomfortable, but because stillness gives the prediction machine nowhere to hide. So, if your brain was designed to keep scanning for danger, does that mean you'll never truly relax? Fortunately, no. But the solution isn't what most people think. Most of us try to relax by eliminating uncertainty. We want every problem solved, every answer known, every future guaranteed. Only then, we believe, will our minds finally become peaceful. But that day never arrives, because uncertainty is not a temporary condition. It's the natural state of life. There will always be another decision, another conversation, another possibility your brain can worry about. Trying to eliminate uncertainty is like trying to stop the ocean from producing waves. The real shift happens when you stop treating uncertainty as evidence of danger. This is exactly what psychologists call psychological flexibility. Instead of asking, "How do I stop feeling anxious?" you begin asking, "Can I remain present even while uncertainty exists?" That question changes everything, because it redirects your attention away from controlling the future and back toward experiencing the present. One of the simplest ways to see this is through your own body. Right now, notice your shoulders. Are they slightly raised? Notice your jaw. Is it gently clenched? Notice your breathing. Is it shallow without you realizing it? Most people discover something surprising. Their body has been preparing for a danger that never arrived. Not because they chose to, because the prediction machine quietly activated long before conscious awareness noticed. The moment you observe that tension, without trying to fight it, something remarkable happens. Your brain receives new information. I'm noticing the alarm. Instead of, I am the alarm, that small distinction creates distance. And distance weakens automatic reactions. Acceptance and commitment therapy calls this cognitive diffusion. Rather than believing every frightening thought, you learn to recognize it as simply another prediction generated by an extraordinarily cautious brain. Not reality, not prophecy, just a prediction. Imagine your mind says, something terrible is going to happen tomorrow, instead of arguing with it, or desperately trying to replace it with a positive thought. You simply notice, my brain is predicting danger again. That sentence changes your relationship with the thought. The prediction may still exist, but it no longer completely controls your behavior. Over time, the brain begins learning something new. Not every alarm requires immediate action. Not every uncertainty hides catastrophe. Not every silence needs to be filled with worry. This learning process is called prediction error. Every time reality turns out better than expected, your brain receives evidence that its internal model needs updating. At first, the changes are almost invisible. You survive a difficult conversation. Nothing terrible happens. You rest for an hour. The world doesn't collapse. You leave an email unanswered until tomorrow. Everything is still okay. Each experience becomes another tiny correction inside the nervous system, one false alarm at a time. Eventually, the prediction machine becomes a little less convinced that danger is everywhere. Not because life became perfectly safe, but because reality repeatedly proved more balanced than fear expected. Perhaps that's the deepest lesson hidden inside anxiety. Your brain isn't broken. It's trying to protect you with a strategy that was once extraordinarily successful. The problem is that an ancient survival system cannot always distinguish between immediate danger and modern uncertainty. The next time you find yourself unable to relax, even when nothing seems wrong, pause before asking, "What's wrong with me?" Instead ask, "What is my brain trying to predict right now?" That single question transforms anxiety from an enemy into information. And once you can observe the prediction, you no longer have to live inside it. Because true calm doesn't come from proving that nothing bad will ever happen. It comes from discovering that you don't need certainty to finally feel safe.